Hi everybody, thank you for tuning into another video on TK's Tech Corner. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Galaxy Watch 6 Classic. This has just arrived today. We'll be opening it up, unboxing it, taking a look at it, and we'll compare it to the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic and also the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, see what the main pros and cons of each model is and what's really been upgraded and what's changed. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the box first, and while I talk through it, we'll just talk a bit about these previous editions. Actually, no, what we won't do is we won't do that. We'll have a look at this one first so we don't get distracted. So there's the watch. I've popped open the case. The strap, I can't remember what name they gave to this strap. So this is supposed to be some sort of a blend between silicone and some sort of fabric leather. It looks like a interesting finish to it. It feels weird. They've gone back to the old school strap here, and I'm probably not a fan of this, to be honest, because I like the strap on the 5, and I'll probably try swapping them later on. But they've gone back to the Watch 4 strap, where they've got this traditional style buckle with the two bits to hold the strap in. I used to find this quite fiddly on the Watch 4. I don't know how it's going to be on the new one because the texture is slightly less rubbery on the front. Still got the same soft finish on the back. Just taking a look at the back quickly there, we can see a difference. I think this here is to enable you to remove the straps quicker. Either that or it's got some sort of a sensor on it as well. I'm not sure what that's going to be right now, but we'll have a little play with it. I think, yeah, this is to remove the straps quicker. So I've just pressed it in, and as I press it in, the strap gets removed, as you can see right there. And I can press it back in very, very easily. That makes for easy removal and changing of straps, which is nice to see. Let's start going through some of the details. I'm going to get this 5 off my wrist as well, so you've got all of them there, right? Watch 4, Classic, 5 and 6. Just before I start going through them in detail, let's see what else is in the box. I don't think there's anything else in here. There is something in the lid. This is the LTE model, so it's 47mm LTE model, the biggest watch they've released to date. And again, I will detail the exact screen size and everything else. I assume there's going to be a charger in here, and I don't think it's going to be anything special other than the same sort of charger we had for the previous models. Let's just get that out quickly. So there's a charger. Again, yeah, it is exactly the same. Nothing special here. Looks identical to the Watch 5 Pro charger, and probably the Watch 4 one actually. I can't remember. Difference being these ones come with a USB-C port attached, and I think the Watch 4 one came with a USB-A port, if I remember correctly, and that was the only main difference between them. So I'll put that back in the box because I don't think I'll be using it. I've got the old charger, and that's the one I'll be using. The Watch 4 is going for trade-in, so they offered a good trade-in value for the watch, as that's covered a good part of the cost, and then the rest will just be on me. Get the box out of the way because there's nothing else in there apart from a bit of paperwork, which you've already seen, and absolutely nothing else exciting in the box. Let's get that out of the way and we can get on with the detailed review. So, Watch 4 Classic, 46mm, Watch 5 Pro, 45mm, interestingly, and I did do in the last year's review, I did say this felt a little bit smaller. From a millimeters perspective, they're giving you the size of the actual sashi, or the actual, the casing. Right? The casing size is 46mm, 45mm, and in this case, the biggest they've done to date, 47mm. The actual screen size though isn't that. So these two are identical in pretty much every way, shape, and I'll tell you the main differences between these two watches in a minute, right? The Watch 4 Classic, and the bezel obviously being the main thing, and that's why I bought this one, because the bezel is back, right? But the Watch 4 Classic that had the bezel, this one didn't have the bezel. Both of them had 34.6mm screen size. Exactly the same screens as far as I'm concerned, because they both had the same screen size, 34.6mm, 450 by 450 pixel screen resolution. The processors were the same. They both had the A55 Exynos W920 processors with a Mali G68 GPUs. Both had 1.5 gig of RAM, and 16 gig of storage, of which had about 7.5 gig usable space. So these were pretty much identical. The main difference with this one was A, it dropped the bezel, which I didn't like because I love the bezel. But B, yeah, some sensor differences was they made it a lot thicker. It's significantly thicker at 10.5 millimeters, right? And it had a larger battery, 590 milliamp hour battery. So the battery on this thing is huge and it lasts forever. Now, this has spent 95% of the time since I bought it last year on my wrist. It's barely left my wrist. The only time when I actually probably not 95% of the daytime, I don't wear this thing to sleep, but otherwise it doesn't leave my wrist. This thing is an absolute tank. I've enjoyed using it. For whatever reason, it felt a bit more responsive than this one. I don't know why, because it's pretty much exactly the same watch. But to me, it felt a bit more responsive. You know, yeah, I I don't like the touch rotating bezel. I never used it. I just resorted to swiping around, and I really missed the bezel through the whole time. So when I saw this one, I jumped on it. Bezel's back, but there's actually a significant hardware change in the new watch now, and that's what we're going to talk about, right? Before I turn it on, I haven't turned it on yet. So Watch 6 Classic, 47 millimeter actual frame, right? The casing is 47 millimeters. Now you've got a 38.1 millimeter display. So we've gone from 34.6 to 38.1 odd millimeters. So it's a significantly larger display, and you can see that there, right? And the way they've done it in two things is one, they made the actual casing slightly bigger, but they've also reduced the bezel size. So by reducing the bezel size and increasing the case sizing, they managed to get a significantly larger display on there. 38.1 millimeters, awesome. I'll be honest, even with this one, typing on WhatsApp, because WhatsApp's available on there and stuff, and text messages and stuff, absolutely fine. So on this one, I can imagine it's going to be a little bit nicer with that extra screen real estate. And to add to that, not just the screen size, but the resolutions increase as well. So you've got a 480 by 480 resolution display now. But it is slightly thicker. It's thicker. It's 10.9 millimeters. It's the thickest and largest watch they've created to date. Overall, is it going to feel a lot different on the wrist? We'll find out. But yeah, that's the dimensions of this one. Let's talk about battery life. So I talked about these ones, right? The battery on this one was 361 milliamp on this one, 361 milliamp hour. On this one, we had the biggest battery at 590 milliamp hours. And on this one, I believe it's been reduced. So hopefully I've got the specs right. I think it's 425 milliamp hour battery on this one, which I hope it's not going to improve the runtime, because this one really does go for, days, right? You can get 3 to 4 days comfortable on my usage anyway out of this thing. On this one, they say you've got an improved processor. So let's talk about that quickly. Exynos W920 with a Mali G68 GPU. These two had dual core 1.18 gigahertz processors, and they have improved this one with a dual 1.4 gigahertz processors, and to support that even more, these two had 1.5 gig of RAM. This has now got 2 gig of RAM. I expect this to feel a lot snappier then with a new operating system as well, Wear OS 5, I believe. Hoping that we're going to notice significant software-based improvements as well, and overall nice snappy user experience. We're going to start turning it on. 16 gig of storage again, of which is probably 7.5 gig usable. And that's it for tech specs. So let's get this thing on. Charged. It's got some charge, so I've just fired it on there. We'll wait for it to turn on. I'm going to get these both on my wrist just for the sake of it. I'll put them on in order whilst that turns on. Now this is the LTE model. I've gone for the LTE model this time because I thought it'd be nice to have a more connected device. Means you don't need to worry about having your phone in proximity of the watch all the time, and if you're running out and you don't need your phone, right? You can just carry on the watch. So I'm trying to wear this watch a bit high up on my wrist, just for the sake of getting them all on. And I've not got that on correctly at all, have I? There we go, and we'll put the last one right there, if it fits anyway. So it's on. First things first is language selection. I don't know how clear this is going to be because there's a lot of reflection from my light. So we're going to go with English UK because that's where we are. And country or region is United Kingdom. And now it's going to restart. Interesting. Why does it need to restart to set locale settings? I don't know. And language. Who knows? I'm sure there's a good reason. Got a little QR code at the back there. So after this review's done, I've got to get this one ready to go back on the 4. I've been using this one mostly through, yeah, I've used this through everything. I've had it on through DIY works. I've not done any babysitting on it or trying to look after it or pamper it. I've used them both on and off. If the batteries are in this one sometimes and this one's been charged, I've thrown this on my wrist. Still enjoyed using the 4. Roughly the same experience. This one again felt a little bit more snappy. I don't know why. It did. Must just maybe it was more the firmware was a little bit more optimized. Maybe that's all it was. I really don't know, but it definitely felt nicer. I like the strap on this. It was a bit annoying sometimes where it gets a bit caught and it pops off. Not the end of the world. I've got used to it though. So other than every now and then getting stuck to something metal like a chair leg, maybe you might get stuck to it. But this is overall a nice, easy strap to get on and off very quickly, and you can see the wear and tear on that. It really has been abused. It's been on my wrist through all sorts of work, DIY chores that are in and around the house and all sorts. And I expect to do the same with this one. I think the beauty of this one was because the bezel wasn't there, you never really worried about dust, sawdust, sand dust, whatever getting inside that bezel. Now I know the bezels are very tight and it's very hard to get a lot of dust in there, right? But it was just one thing less to worry about. And it may just be that because I'm keeping the 5, right? The trading between the 4 and the 5 was, I think, £20. It made more sense to keep the newer model than the older model. But I think the main thing here now is maybe if I am doing some scrappy work, I'll throw the 5 back on. And other than that, I'll use the 6. Let's see, I don't know. So let me get my phone and let's get the wearable app fired up. And let's see if we can get this paired up. I wonder if I found the watch and I just, oh no, what did I do? No, I have to go through the wearable app. No, I just made a mess of that because Watch 4 Classic, Watch 5 Pro, add a new device. Right, Watch 6 Classic, so it's found it. Let's go get that on. Confirm. So it's showing me the code on both the watch and the screen, so I know I'm connecting to the right device and not the person sitting next to me. Downloading software, so it's doing a software update. Galaxy Watch Manager, I think that's the actual wearable app, probably going to update to support a new device maybe. I don't know if it's going to do a firmware update, who knows. Typically with these things you sometimes can expect a new firmware update. Accept the license agreements and continue. We don't want to send you diagnostics data. No, we don't. Agree to Google terms of service. Why not? Yeah. Get updates automatically. Yes, we do want to get automatic updates. Right, so it's getting stuff ready at the moment. So in the meantime, while that sets up, I've gone through the tech specs quite quickly because I didn't want to bore you with too many low-level details, but at the high level, I've shared specs to compare them technically. If there's any questions that I haven't covered that you've got, please ask them in the comment section. I'll definitely cover off any Q&A type stuff as and when I get a chance. It's always easy to miss stuff. So this is on about 40% of the way through at the moment. As soon as it's gone through, we'll see what's next. and then at some point I'll register it against my data plan so that the eSIM kicks in as well, and then I'll be good to go on this. I'll probably try swapping the bands out. Actually, in the meantime, why don't I do that? Why don't I try and swap the bands out and see what happens? I'm not even put this band on my wrist yet, but I'm just going to get it off. So you can see when you push these little buttons in, it's quite easy. The pin goes in and out on there, and that makes it easy to remove these straps. Now that versus, let's have a look at this one. So this is quite fiddly. Actually, it's not fiddly. I don't have to take this thing off. It's the right size. There's a little on the old one. There's this little slider, so you got to slide it, and then the band comes off. Not any more difficult. It's not a significant pain to do that. It's nice they've got a new mechanism, but that's about it. So the old one. Let's see if the watch strap's going to go on there. I think it is. It's going to go on quite nicely, I reckon. I hope it does anyway. Let's see. I'm fiddling with it. I'm having to fiddle with it, means it's not easy. It might not go on. Because of the actual sashi size. Oh, no, hang on. Might be able to squeeze this thing in place, you know. Yes, it's in. And that will probably do. That's going to do the job. It's going to asking me to sign into my Google account. But since I'm fiddling with this watch strap, I might as well try and get it on first. There you go. Got the watch strap on. So the strap goes on, and that's a good sign. There we go. So I've got the strap on. Feels like the Watch 5 with the bezel now. I've got to sign to my Google account. Continue. Yes, please continue signing in. Saying it's signing in. Automatic watch backup. Now, let's see. Now, one, this is going to try and restore everything from my smart switch on your watch. Yeah, so it should hopefully take everything that I've got from a backup perspective on the old watch. Galaxy Watch backed up. Oh, wow. That's interesting. I've not carried out a backup on the Watch 5 Pro at all, apparently, according to this. So what I should probably do is maybe do a backup on the old watch. Now this is funny because I've got a band on there. Probably make this into a clip now, can't I? Security, locations, accounts and backup. So I have got it set up as a backup account. I don't know why it hasn't actually performed any backups. Interesting. Maybe I was supposed to set something up. Who knows? Clearly I haven't done it. But for the sake of it for now, let's just skip. Yeah, let's skip. Left wrist, button on the right. All is on display. I do use, it's going to give some health information, emergency, calling, activity, all just good information type stuff. Set up a mobile plan. I can probably go through this right now. I'll skip this now and do this some other time. Don't need to worry about that now. Let's just finish the setup. So in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll go back to the original strap that it actually came with so I can actually test out the strap and tell you how it feels. So I'll get the Watch 5 Pro band back off the Watch 6 and actually use the strap that came with it for a second. So they're definitely less fiddly to get these on and off. Make sure I get it the right way around. Yeah, okay. I see it. I have to admit it's easier with the new model to get them on and off. It's a lot quicker. They're literally just pushing in and out of place. Get the watch on my wrist. The strap doesn't feel bad at all. As it kind of like feels like a fake leather strap on the face of it, and on the back you got the soft silicone type finish. Fits nice and flat on the wrist. It doesn't. Yeah, it's nice. I don't need to tour the watch at all. And there it is. So the buttons feel a lot flatter against the body. I noticed that straight away because the buttons on here completely stick out. There's nothing in between the buttons on the Watch 5 Pro at all, right? The Watch 4 and the 6 had this little lump here in between, this little hump. You can see that there. There's a hump there and there's a hump there. The buttons are overall a lot flatter on this. They're closer to the body. Nice smooth feel there. Watch 5 Pro ones are a bit more pronounced on the body, and there's nothing in between. Definitely, your finger definitely feels easier to find the buttons here versus these ones anyway. But no real biggie there, to be honest. I wonder if I can get all three of them on my wrist, because that would just be funny. I won't bother with that for now. I'll get the strap back on here. So it's just going through some basic stuff. Don't miss a thing. The orange dot indicates new notifications. We know that. Screen size, is it noticeably different? Yeah, it is, because there's a couple of millimeters difference there. Well, nearly 4 millimeters of difference there. The dial, which is one of the most important things to talk about here. Let's focus on the dial, right? The rotating bezel is back, and it feels absolutely gorgeous. It's got that lovely new dial finish. So it's very, very easy to rotate. It's satisfying. Yeah, I can even rotate with one finger there. The click in between each rotation is just awesome. It settles into that next bit of movement. It feels lovely. It's silent. It's not. I can barely hear the clicking. It's not going to annoy someone, but very, very satisfying to move around. Now I like what they've done with the finish of this here, because compare this to there's probably no point comparing these, but these are the ones to actually compare, to be honest. After a generation apart, or 2 generations apart, you're getting back to a very similar design, just streamlined. This is a streamlined Watch 4. That's what it is, right? Forget the 5. This is a streamlined 4 Classic. 6 Classic is streamlined 4 Classic. It's like the next real upgrade of the Watch 4. This is the true upgrade of this. And the bezels, so they've thinned it out, as you can see, completely all the way around. And they've gone for a little bit more of a flat finish rather than a complete sort of pointed down finish. It's a little bit flatter. It's nice. It looks very elegant. Overall, the watch looks absolutely beautiful. It doesn't feel that chunky at all on the wrist, to be honest. Compared to the watch, it feels roughly the same as the Watch 5 Pro. I'm liking the finish on it. It hasn't got as much of a matte finish. It's got a little bit, actually it's got a bit of a both. It's got a bit of a matte finish on the sides, and on the edges here it's a bit more of a glossy finish. Whereas the Watch 5 Pro and the Watch 4 Classic had a matte finish all the way around. So you can see that there, that's shiny there. This one here is more matte. And if we look at the Watch 5, that was also a very matte finish as well, right? So that's the difference there. So main difference is there. What else are we doing here? So we can go through. You can see I started doing that because I've got so used to flicking through the screens on the Watch 5 that I'm going to have to get used to just using the dial again. There won't be much getting used to it because that's just very, very natural, to be honest. And I have been using this on and off, and the dial does feel very natural to come back to. So I like that. All of them IP68 waterproof rating on all the watches, which is great. If you really want to wear it in the shower, go for it. I personally do not. Though I have worn them in the swimming pool, and they're lovely in the swimming pool. There you go. So I think that's monitoring my heart rate there. Yeah, it is. You've got your sensors here on the buttons as well to measure all of your good stuff. How's that? Galaxy Watch 6 Classic, the actual true upgrade to the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic. I like it. Initial thoughts are I like it. I'll probably mess around with the straps. I might leave it on for a little while to see how it feels. It does actually feel quite nice on the front. It's not too rubbery, which is good. This was very rubbery. This one very, very rubbery, but then the clasp is very, very easy to get this thing on and off. This is a bit more of a fiddle. So I don't know, let's see. What I used to find on this one was sometimes when this flaps out like that, it's a bit annoying. So this one might end up doing the same thing, and I'm not a fan of that. There are some better straps available for the watch. They sent me a free strap, which is not even worth bringing on screen. I'll bring it on just for the fun of it. This is what they sent me. They send you whatever's available. A fabric band, right, which is what they were giving for free. Now, if it was a black fabric band that had a medium large sizing, I might have just tried it out. I would have even opened it up and done a video on it. But when they're going to give me a fabric band which is cream in color, nothing like my watch color, and it's small medium size, it will never fit me. That's just gonna either end up on eBay or in the bin. So thanks Samsung for a completely useless free product. Wasn't even worth getting a freebie. They might as well not even have sent it to me, but there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed that video. First video after a very long time. I hope to get back to posting some more regular content in the very near future. I've got some great videos coming up of some mobile game controllers as well. If you've got any questions at all, please do feel free to ask them in the comment section. I'll answer whatever I can as soon as I get a chance. And if you haven't already done so and you've enjoyed the content, please do hit that subscribe button to support my channel. I appreciate the support I get. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.